I want you to take a deep breath and really feel this. Right now, something extraordinary has happened. This moment, this choice, this undeniable signal, your avoidant has chosen you and won't be leaving. Feel the weight of that. Not because someone finally gave you attention, but because someone has walked through the fear of themselves, the fear of intimacy, and said, I choose you, I stay. This isn't just luck. This isn't chance. This is the result of your energy, your presence, your unwavering authenticity. You have created a space so safe, so magnetic, that even someone wired to pull away to protect themselves has made a conscious decision to walk toward love instead of running. Now, let's be honest. The journey hasn't been easy. You've faced the push and pull. You've faced the uncertainty. But here's the truth. Life rewards courage. Life rewards consistency. Life rewards those who refuse to settle for anything less than real connection. And look at what has happened. This means they've chosen you. This means the past patterns of avoidance no longer dictate the future. This means commitment is no longer a question mark, it's a reality. And here's where the power comes in. Do not take this for granted. Do not let fear whisper it might not last. Instead, let gratitude roar. I see this, I honor this, I grow with this. Every moment you celebrate this choice, you reinforce a higher standard for love, one that transforms fear into trust, withdrawal into presence, and avoidance into intimacy. Remember, the universe always meets you where you are. When you show up fully, when you embody your worth, when you radiate your purpose, even the most guarded hearts are drawn in. And now, right here, right now, you are witnessing the miraculous. Someone has crossed the threshold of fear to embrace love with you. And they're staying. So stand tall, breathe deeply, own this moment, because what you've attracted isn't just a partner. It's proof of your energy, your resilience, and your capacity to inspire transformation in others. This is sacred. This is real. This is love choosing you boldly, and it's never leaving. Choice over fear is one of the most profound moments in human relationships, especially when it comes to someone with an avoidant attachment style. Avoidants are often wired to protect themselves from vulnerability. They've built walls, cultivated distance, and mastered the art of retreating when emotional intensity rises. Their default is often to run, to disengage, to protect their independence at all costs. But when an avoidant chooses to stay, something extraordinary has happened. They have made a conscious decision to step into discomfort, to confront their deepest fears, and to prioritize connection over self-protection. That is not just love, it is courage in its purest form. This choice is a signal that fear no longer has the final word. Fear may still exist, quietly lurking in the corners of the mind, whispering doubts and old patterns, but it has been outweighed by the power of commitment, trust, and the recognition of the value of intimacy. They are choosing to stay despite the voices that have told them retreat is safer. They are choosing to stay despite the urge to protect themselves by withdrawal. Every moment they remain present, every effort they make to engage, to communicate, and to connect is a demonstration of this choice over fear. The truth is, this is not just about the other person. It is also about you and the energy you bring into the relationship. You have created an environment where safety, understanding, and unconditional acceptance exist. You have held your own ground without demanding or forcing, without enabling avoidance or pushing through fear. That balance, that presence, becomes magnetic to someone who has historically withdrawn. You show them that the world does not have to be a place of threat and rejection, and in that recognition they make a bold choice to confront what they've always feared and embrace love in a conscious way. Choice over fear is transformative because it changes the very narrative of what is possible in relationships. It is no longer dictated by instinctual avoidance or past programming. When an avoidant chooses to stay, it signals a shift from reactive patterns to deliberate, mindful decisions. It is a declaration that growth is possible, that intimacy is worth the vulnerability, and that connection can be stronger than fear. In essence, it reflects the highest form of human evolution and emotional intelligence. The ability to recognize fear, honor it, and still step forward. This is also a reminder of the incredible power of choice in our own lives. Just as they are choosing to confront fear and stay, you too are reminded that love, commitment, and trust are always available to those who decide to step fully into them. Each person in the relationship has the power to choose over fear, to cultivate presence over avoidance, to prioritize love over self-protection. And when this choice is made, it becomes a sacred moment, a pivotal turning point, a proof that connection can transcend fear, patterns, and past conditioning. Consistency is one of the most underrated but powerful signals of commitment, especially when someone with an avoidant attachment style is involved. Avoidants often struggle with intimacy not because they don't care, but because their emotional system is wired to protect itself from perceived threats. They have a history of withdrawing when things get too close, retreating when emotions become intense, and creating distance as a form of self-preservation. In this context, consistency becomes more than just routine or habit. It becomes a profound demonstration of intentional presence and choice. When an avoidant chooses to show up again and again, it speaks volumes about the depth of their commitment. Consistency is the bridge between words and reality. Anyone can say, "I care about you," or "I'm committed." But words without action are just noise. An avoidant, in particular, communicates through actions because their internal fears often make verbal assurances unreliable. Every time they follow through on promises, every time they show up when they could have stayed away, they are actively rewriting the story of what relationships mean to them. This consistency signals a transformation. The past pattern of avoidance is no longer dictating behavior, and the choice to be present repeatedly is a conscious decision to invest in connection over comfort. This kind of consistency also creates safety in the relationship. For someone with an avoidant partner, the fear of unpredictability is real. Every withdrawal, every sudden disappearance reinforces their internal stories of instability and rejection. But when an avoidant chooses to consistently show up, it disrupts these stories. Their actions communicate, silently but powerfully, that they are committed to the relationship and to the person in front of them. Consistency becomes a form of love that transcends fear, proving that commitment is not just a feeling. It is a lived experience, a series of repeated choices that build trust over time. Consistency is also a reflection of courage. It is easier to retreat into safety, to hide behind walls, and to protect oneself from vulnerability. It requires ongoing courage to resist that instinct and instead continue showing up, even when emotions are uncomfortable, when doubts arise, or when old avoidance patterns tempt to retreat. Each act of consistency is a declaration that love, trust, and connection are more valuable than fear and self-protection. It is a daily, sometimes moment, proof that growth and transformation are possible even for someone whose natural instinct has been withdrawal. Moreover, consistency shapes the energy of the relationship itself. It communicates reliability, predictability, and respect. It teaches both partners that love is not fleeting, that commitment is not conditional, and that growth is possible when fear is met with deliberate, conscious action. In this way, consistency doesn't just reflect commitment. It creates commitment, transforming the dynamic from one of uncertainty to one of trust, safety, and deepening intimacy. Trust and vulnerability are the lifeblood of any meaningful relationship, but they hold extraordinary significance when an avoidant person chooses to stay. Avoidants are wired to shield themselves from emotional intensity. Their default response to closeness is often retreat, not because they lack care, but because they fear losing control, being exposed, or being hurt. For them, opening up emotionally is like walking across a tightrope without a safety net. Every step into vulnerability requires conscious courage. Every act of trust challenges a lifetime of self-protection. When an avoidant chooses to remain present, it is a profound act of bravery, a deliberate surrender of fear to embrace connection. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it is the highest form of strength in human relationships. It requires the willingness to expose one's true self, to risk judgment, disappointment, or emotional pain. Avoidants are typically masters of concealment. They hide thoughts, feelings, and desires behind walls of independence. Yet when they allow themselves to be seen, truly seen, by choosing to stay, it signals a shift from avoidance to authenticity. This act of trust tells you, without words, that they believe in the safety of your bond. It tells you that your presence, understanding, and patience have created a space where they can drop the armor without fear of annihilation or rejection. Trust is the foundation on which vulnerability is built. Without trust, vulnerability is reckless. With trust, it becomes transformative. When an avoidant chooses to trust and remain present, it is a conscious acknowledgement that the relationship is worth the risk. Trust is not given lightly for those who habitually withdraw. It is earned, tested, and reinforced repeatedly. Each conversation, each shared feeling, each small act of honesty strengthens the relational fabric and affirms that connection can be safer than isolation. This mutual reinforcement creates a cycle of deepening intimacy. As the avoidant grows more comfortable with vulnerability, trust becomes stronger, and as trust grows stronger, vulnerability becomes more effortless. This process is also a testament to human potential and growth. Avoidants are not incapable of love. They are simply conditioned to guard it. When they allow themselves to be vulnerable and trustworthy, they transcend their own patterns and demonstrate the power of conscious choice. They show that even deeply ingrained fears can be met, negotiated, and softened through patience, presence, and unwavering commitment. Every moment they remain open is a lesson in courage, resilience, and the transformative power of relational connection. Ultimately, when an avoidant chooses to stay, embracing both trust and vulnerability, it is a sacred signal that true intimacy is possible. It is proof that love can break through the walls of fear, that connection can triumph over avoidance, and that the most guarded hearts are capable of transformation. In this choice, both partners are invited to step into a higher level of relational consciousness, where emotional honesty, safety, and growth are not optional. They are the currency of a bond that is meant to endure. Connection is not merely the act of being together, it is a force capable of transforming hearts, minds, and patterns that once seemed unchangeable. For someone with an avoidant attachment style, connection is both enticing and terrifying. It represents intimacy, vulnerability, and exposure, the very things they have been conditioned to avoid. Yet, when an avoidant chooses to stay, it demonstrates a profound truth. Connection, when nurtured with patience, understanding, and authenticity, has the power to reshape behavior and open hearts in ways that fear never could. The choice to remain present is not just a decision, it is a transformative act that signals growth, courage, and evolution. The transformative power of connection begins with consistency and presence. Each moment of genuine engagement, every conversation where feelings are honored rather than dismissed, every act of listening without judgment communicates safety. It communicates that intimacy is not a threat, but a space for exploration and growth. Avoidants are often trapped in a cycle of self-protection, where retreat has become automatic. Connection disrupts that cycle. It demonstrates, silently but profoundly, that love does not have to demand withdrawal, that closeness does not have to equal loss of autonomy, and that the presence of another can be a source of strength rather than vulnerability. Transformation through connection is also a lesson in patience and persistence. Avoidants rarely change overnight. Their walls, built over years of self-protection, require repeated experiences of trust and safety to soften. Every time an avoidant chooses to stay, to communicate, or to engage, they are stepping out of old patterns and into a new possibility. This is transformation in motion. It is a living proof that human behavior is not fixed and that relational bonds, when cultivated consciously, can inspire profound internal shifts. Connection becomes a mirror, reflecting the possibility of courage, intimacy, and emotional growth back to them even when fear still whispers. This transformation is not one-sided. The person receiving the commitment also grows. Witnessing someone overcome avoidance, choosing to stay and engage despite fear, instills a deeper sense of worth, validation, and empowerment. It teaches the invaluable lesson that presence matters more than perfection, and that love is often proven not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, consistent choice to be present. The relationship becomes a shared laboratory for human evolution, where both partners learn the art of patience, empathy, and conscious engagement. Ultimately, when an avoidant chooses to stay, the connection itself becomes sacred. It demonstrates that relational fear can be met with courage, that old patterns can be disrupted, and that intimacy can flourish even where avoidance once reigned. Transformation through connection is a living, breathing principle. It proves that love has the capacity to heal, to evolve, and to transcend fear. Each act of staying, each moment of engagement, is a testament to the power of relational energy to transform both the individual and the union itself, creating a bond rooted not in avoidance, but in conscious, courageous, and enduring connection. Celebrating wins in relationships is more than just acknowledging milestones or moments of joy. It is a conscious recognition of growth, effort, and the courage to choose love over fear. For someone with an avoidant attachment style, Relationship wins are often subtle but profoundly significant. Each step they take toward commitment, each moment they resist the instinct to withdraw, each time they show up consistently represents a personal victory over patterns that once defined their behavior. These wins, however small they may seem, are worth noticing, honoring, and celebrating because they signify transformation, courage, and the conscious choice to invest in connection. Avoidants are wired to protect themselves. Their default is to retreat from emotional intensity, to guard their hearts, and to maintain autonomy at almost any cost. When they break through these instincts, it is not a trivial act, it is a triumph over deeply ingrained fears. Celebrating these moments, both internally and externally, validates their effort. It communicates that their growth is seen, their courage is acknowledged, and their choice to stay and engage is valued. Without celebration, these wins can go unnoticed, leaving the avoidant feeling that their efforts are invisible or insufficient, which can unintentionally reinforce old patterns of withdrawal. Recognition becomes a vital force that fuels further growth and encourages continued engagement. Celebrating wins also cultivates gratitude and mindfulness in the relationship. Instead of focusing solely on past challenges, frustrations, or unmet expectations, acknowledgement shifts attention to progress, effort, and shared victories. Each win, whether it is a conversation held without avoidance, a moment of vulnerability shared, or a consistent pattern of presence, becomes a building block for deeper trust and connection. It trains both partners to see the relationship as a dynamic, evolving process, rather than a static state defined by old patterns or past disappointments. Gratitude transforms the energy between partners, making connection not only sustainable but deeply nourishing. Moreover, celebrating wins reinforces positive behavior and strengthens relational bonds. Avoidants respond to subtle but consistent feedback that demonstrates their actions matter. When you honor their efforts, you reinforce the value of presence, communication, and engagement, which encourages a cycle of continued growth. This is not about reward or manipulation. It is about conscious acknowledgement that human change is hard, that courage is often quiet, and that relational progress deserves recognition. By celebrating wins, you help create an environment where effort is appreciated and growth is amplified, leading to deeper intimacy and connection. Ultimately, celebrating wins is a spiritual and emotional principle as much as a relational one. It teaches patience, gratitude, and the ability to recognize progress where fear once dominated. Each celebration is an act of empowerment for yourself, for your partner, and or the relationship itself. It shifts the focus from struggle to achievement, from fear to courage, and from avoidance to commitment. In doing so, it reinforces the truth that love is not measured by perfection, but by effort, choice, and the courage to keep showing up. Every acknowledgement, every celebration, every shared moment of recognition strengthens the bond and honors the transformative journey both partners are undertaking. Thank you for sharing your time and energy, wishing you courage, clarity, and endless growth on your journey. Goodbye for now. May every step you take lead you closer to love, purpose, and fulfillment.